and welcome back. Today I want to talk about trust. When I talk to people about trust generally, I tend to hear lots of people say that you should never really trust anybody because everyone will let you down in the end, usually for their own benefit. And I think that's really sad. So I thought I would focus this video on how we can tell if somebody is trustworthy and the limitations to trust. If you find this video interesting or helpful, please remember to press that cheeky little like button, subscribe to my channel, and if you disagree with any of my content, please do put your views in the comments box below and we can have a little chat. I hope you enjoy the video. Welcome to my channel. My name is Shirley Green and my channel is called It's a Relationship Thing, where we explore all things to do with human relationships, the good, the bad, and the downright dangerous. So let's start by looking at the behaviours that you typically will see in people who are trustworthy, and those behaviours that kind of indicate you need to be a little bit more cautious. We'll then look at some of the limitations of trust and how our expectations of other people can sometimes leave us feeling distrustful when possibly there's no need. So let's start with consistency. This is where somebody has a stable emotional state across many different situations so that you can predict how they will behave in any given situation, and how they respond to things, how they react to things is acceptable to you. It's not going to cause you distress in any way. On the other hand, we have people who are inconsistent. Their emotions bounce all over the place. They change like the wind. You never know how they're going to respond in any given situation. They may not always respond the same way to the same situation. And this can leave you feeling very anxious and very concerned about what is going to happen. So let's move on to reciprocity. And this is give and take. So they are curious about your hopes, your dreams, your wishes, the things that frighten you, scary events, anything that's coming up in your future, celebrations, and they share theirs with you. So there's a mutual sharing of information, there's a mutual sharing of emotion, and there's a mutual care and support. Or we have people who just take, or give. So for some people, they just want to talk about themselves, and your lived experience, the things you need to talk about, just don't really come into the relationship. Or the other way around, where they want to know all about you, they dig deep into your past, those dirty little secrets, but they don't share anything of themselves. Both those just need to be dealt with caution, because a good relationship is mutual, not a one-way street. The next one is about being able to be open and honest and share challenges and criticisms in the relationship. When we get into a relationship, especially in the early days, there are times when things may annoy us, when things don't just fit together very well in any relationship. And so we need to talk those things through to find a compromise and also to gel the relationship together. So it's really important that somebody is able to listen to you with curiosity, to work hard to understand your perspective when you disagree with them. Doesn't mean you're going to agree, but it does put you that foundation in place where you can actually come to that compromise. Also, though, they need to be able to do the same with you. If you've got somebody who can give you honest criticism and challenge, they can point out where you are acting in ways that aren't going to help you, then you can benefit too. So we want somebody who has got the security, the safety, and the courage to hear stuff about themselves which may be uncomfortable, but also the courage to be able to share that with you. And that just shows that they trust you and that they know that you know they've got your best interests at heart. On the other hand, we have people who take any sort of criticism or challenge as a very personal, destructive thing, and they will respond to you with hurt, rage. They may withdraw from the relationship, or you may just find that they sulk and that they just make you feel guilty and shameful for bringing this subject up in the first place. Not particularly healthy. So the next one is about them being fully engaged with you and fully committed to you, and showing that through remembering what you've said and either asking you about important or scary events that you've been dealing with or situations, and also changing their behaviour after having a conversation with you about something that you don't particularly like, going back to the challenging conversations we've just talked about. The less healthy side of that is when they just pretend to listen to you and you kind of get that feeling that you're talking to a brick wall, probably because you are. But they pretend to listen to you, they will listen but then dismiss what you say. So you may give them a heartfelt comment which they will then dismiss as ridiculous or stupid or something like that and put you down, or just deny completely that they had the conversation with you in the first place. The next one is about how they treat other people. And these are two really important points actually, because how anybody treats everybody else shows whether they are consistent or whether they're inconsistent. So firstly, we don't want to be around someone who gossips. If your partner, friend, boss is gossiping about everybody else, then the chances are they're going to do the same with you. See how they actually treat other people. Do they treat them with respect and kindness? Do they actually follow through and do the actions that they say they're going to do? All those things that you hope for in your relationship, do they treat other people that way, really? Because if they show disdain, if they make judgments about other people, if they don't really follow through on what they've been asked to do or what they've promised to do, eventually you will get treated that way. And then we need to know how social they are. Do they introduce you to their friends and their families? And are they interested to meet yours? And when they do meet them, do they get on well? Do they make the effort? Can you see that they are trying to build relationships with the people who matter to you? Or do they kind of keep you away from their friends? Or if their friends come round, you get pretty much ignored and are expected to leave the room? Or they just keep away from your family and friends, maybe criticize them. You want people who are interested in your life, not somebody who is going to dismiss a huge part of what matters to you. The next one's quite simple. It's about whether somebody is collaborating or competing with you. So if you've got someone who is collaborating, then they're going to work really hard at developing that relationship in partnership with you so that it's a win-win for both of you. Both of you get the best from the relationship. Whereas if you've got someone who is competing with you, then they need to win at all costs. And one of the costs may be your well-being. It could be the pleasure you take in life. So be cautious with them. And then, of course, we have truth and honesty. If you know that this person is untruthful to other people, then the chances are that they're going to lie to you too. If you know that they have been deceptive in some way, eventually they may well be deceptive to you. This also leads on to the respect that they have for you and for other people. So not only have we got the truth, the honesty, how they talk about people, the gossiping, but there's also something about respecting your personal boundaries. If you say no, that's absolutely fine. They will go with that. Your decisions are respected, they're upheld, they're valid. If you've got somebody who is constantly trying to either force you into breaking your boundaries through threats, or coerce you, or trying to guilt you into breaking your boundaries, part of coercion, then be wary, because those things usually get worse as the relationship goes on. And I think that kind of brings me to a test of trust, a trust test, which is when you feel it's appropriate in a relationship, just to try saying no and see what happens. If somebody is understanding and interested and respects your boundaries, then the chances are they're a little bit more trustworthy than people who try and persuade you otherwise, or insist on that yes, or give you some sort of emotional display as a result. Coming from a background of domestic abuse and having done lots of research into relational aggression, one of the things that I have come to believe with all my heart is that when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. So if you've got somebody with lots of those traits which indicate they're not trustworthy, they're probably not trustworthy. And to protect yourself, just be aware of that. It's not uncommon for all of us to deny or make excuses for other people, especially when we're younger and they're incredibly good looking and charming. But please just have your radar up. It will save you a lot of grief down the line. And take your time in getting to know somebody. You can only really know if someone is consistent, reliable, open, honest, genuinely interested in you, and all the other things I've mentioned earlier on. You can only tell that over time, and that takes observation, that takes focus, and that takes a real burning desire to know. That sounds quite depressing, doesn't it? And it is work, but all good relationships are work. I just want to talk about Brené Brown, who did a wonderful talk about her daughter and how she helped her daughter to learn to trust people again after she was let down by a friend. And she talks about a marble jar, and she suggests that her daughter has a jar and some marbles, and every time somebody does something which shows her that they're trustworthy, she pops a marble in the jar to show that. For example, remembering your birthday, remembering a difficult situation you've been in and checking out how you are, not gossiping, not sharing confidences, tiny little confidences that you may tell them. Then gradually that jar fills up, and when the jar's full, you're probably okay to start sharing more personal, more important confidences with these people safely. I really like that idea, and so I have put a clip from that in the description box below. So if you get a chance, please do have a look. Brené Brown's amazing. Love Brené Brown. So what are the limitations? The limitations come from the fact that we are all human beings, and therefore we get it wrong sometimes. And there's two kind of ways that I think the limitations display themselves. One is if I make a promise to somebody and I have been consistent in doing what I say and following through, and I'm trustworthy. Actually, I am quite trustworthy. I don't gossip. I don't share information about people. However, maybe I'm having a really bad day. I found out I'm ill, or some tragedy has happened out in the world that's really affected me. I may lose that focus. I may become preoccupied with my own stuff and kind of forget yours. Now, that would be temporary, and I hope that anybody who I'm in a close relationship with, my friends, my family, my partner, would all understand that that's about the situation, not about me as a person, and know the things they can trust me about regardless. Some things I would never break, however vulnerable I was feeling. It's also about expectations. So it's no good expecting somebody to be really trustworthy in some ways that they just are not capable of being trustworthy in. So for the big ones, if you get to know them, you'll know whether the big ones that are big for you are something they can be trustworthy about or not. So for example, my partner, I know that I can trust him 100% not to cheat on me for a whole load of reasons that I'm not going to tell you about. However, I also know that I can't trust him to clean out the bunnies when he said he would. And finally, if you want a trusting relationship, if you want that close intimacy that trust brings to a relationship with your friends, your family, your colleagues at work, then the first thing you have to do is to begin to trust yourself. You have to love yourself and trust yourself before you can truly give those things to other people. And people who are trustworthy will pick up on that. So if you remember in previous videos, I've talked about how those initial interactions with people adjust our thinking towards the world. Where we have not been able to influence the world with our behaviours, we begin to learn that we can't trust ourselves. And so I would reinforce that that's not our fault. That doesn't mean that we can't trust ourselves. We may have to relearn, we may have to gain confidence in that, but you can trust yourself. You have a choice. You have a way of influencing the world rather than trying to control it. So if you do have trouble trusting yourself, please revisit that. There's loads of help out there that can do that for you, with you. For those of you who understand what I've been talking about today and have found it useful, and would like a memory aid, I have popped a worksheet in the description box below. So that's all for today. I hope that you have found this video interesting. Please do remember to do the YouTubey things, press the like button, press the subscribe. And if you have any comments, questions or criticisms, please do put them in the comments box. I thank you for today and I hope to see you again soon.